Hi everybody at YouTube. I appreciate if you've been watching the most recent videos, the understanding of why not many video game related videos were, which is mostly impressions. Excuse me. But I apologize for only uploading impressions. But today I have a rant, and as my friend Drew said, I will be getting software hopefully tomorrow. But anyway, I'd like to talk to you about gaming in this generation. I've talked about the console wars from, I guess, really the past generation. I've talked about, you know, what problems could be, what's wrong with the gaming industry. Well, let me tell you about the games now. I mean, granted, let me just point this out. First-person shooters did not ruin gaming, in my opinion. However, it's the overabundance and overuse of them, and the fact that they're not very creative anymore. I mean, all you have is generic Russians or Germans in their regular uniforms, you carrying some automatic gun and just shooting everything in sight. What am I talking about? Obviously, stupid-ass, shitty Call of Duty. The biggest video game cash cow these days. Now, again, I've got nothing wrong with shooters. Some of my favorite video games are shooters, such as Duke Nukem 3D, Shadow Warrior, Blood, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, things like that. But the thing is, this is back when gaming was actually interesting. There weren't too many shooters out there. There was a decent amount, but there weren't hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. Back then, you had platforms, you had side-scrollers, you had 3D games, you had adventure games, you had arcade ports, you had, fighting, you had RPGs, you had all these things. You had, simulators like Animal Crossing or The Sims, for example. You had all these different things. Gaming back then was fun, enjoyable, artistic, unique, innovative. There was always something new to look forward to when a new game came out. But now, all we've got now are these people where all they want is this, World War I, or should I say Civil War, red coats and blue coats type shit when they play a video game online, and it's not even that fun. It's nothing special. All it is you picking up a gun and shooting somebody. Granted, again, first-person shooters didn't ruin it, but it's the overabundance. There's far too many. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. Again, they did not ruin gaming, but there's too many. When did you last see a platformer from, Microsoft or Sony that was actually decent? Because most of the time, whenever games, with very few exceptions, whenever games that aren't shooters are released, you could tell that there's not that much effort put into them. Hell, there's not even that much effort put into the shooters. All it is basically the same game with a bit of a different story, different setup, and different guns. Again, some shooters are unique, and I'm not just talking about Call of Duty, but I'm just talking in a general, statement, excuse me. But the problem I have is this. Here's the question for everyone. Every single stupid little frag head out there. And if any of you are wondering, a frag head is basically somebody that lives for the adrenaline rush of a shooting game. You are aware that after a while, it'll get boring. You know that just because, a game doesn't have a gun, doesn't mean it's not a fun game. Not every game has to be about shooting Nazis in the face or shooting up a bunch of, living dead hordes or a bunch of, superhuman soldiers or robots or whatever. Hell, the only real... It's not even an FPS, it's a first-person adventure. The only first-person style game I really play these days is Metroid. And the other game I really think that's being overdone a little bit is the sandbox style games. Granted, you had games back then that were good, such as San Andreas, Vice City, SR1, SR2, but now there's so many sandbox games. They could be decent at the most, but there's far too many. Nobody wants to be innovative or different. They just want whatever makes them the most money. Granted, that is what a company's ultimately after, making money. However, it's not going to, eventually, it's not going to appeal to anyone anymore, except the very few hardcore gamers that buy maybe 2 games a year. But that won't keep a company's blood pumping forever. It may now, because first-person shooters are the quote-unquote hot thing, but not for long. Because eventually, people are going to get sick of the same thing over and over again. It's like a broken record. It keeps going over and over and over. But eventually, people are going to be getting tired of seeing the same shit every day with little to no changes. Honestly, this gaming generation needs a kick in, its innovation, and we need to see some new ideas. And even if it's not a new idea, just let us see something different aside from pulling the trigger on a gun, okay? Anyways, this is Super Console Bros, signing off. I will see you guys later, and again, I appreciate understanding what's wrong.